Last chat, you said that people exaggerate crime in DC and mentioned that nothing major has happened to you in the 30 plus years you lived there. More or less, yes. Well, I agree with your sentiment about the discussion around DC crime. Does using your personal experience actually help your argument on a topic like this? Yes and no, is how I would answer that. As a 6'4" former Marine, your experience and perception of DC is different from the average Joe's. Things that scare the average person might not scare you. People who mess with the average person wouldn't mess with you. There is a fair point to be made here. Yes, I've been thinking about this actually. Yes, you are right about quite a bit. Namely, I'm a large man. How would I feel if I was a small woman? I'd probably feel a little bit differently. I might retort that my wife's a small woman and doesn't feel differently than me, but then you get back to the point where you're getting to anecdotal experience, and it's at least worth considering, of course, that who you are as a person and what space you occupy in the world will inform how you see the world and how the world sees you. That's simply as true as anything else. And there's no way that my views of DC can be separated from it in that way. So you're right. I think the second thing you're actually right about too is it's not just that I live here; it's that I've spent most of my life here. I mean, I'm in New York City, but at home, and so I think that creates biases and also, well, it works for and against me, right? So one of the ways that it works against me is that, for example, because I've been there for so long, and because I have seen the change in the city from the 1980s, like, dude, DC in the 80s was a fucking mess. I mean, a mess, a mess. It wasn't just that there was a lot of crime, like city services didn't work properly, and streets were not proper or were not well maintained. Like there were potholes every fucking where, and then of course you're dealing with the crack epidemic and crime. And dude, DC was a fucking mess in the 80s. So to go from that to where we are now, um, I think on one level that informs my judgment in a good way, but the other part is it kind of numbs me in a way relative to people who might be here the last 5 or let's say 10 years, and they've experienced that's their only form of reference to DC. There might be a level of crime for them that is simply uncomfortable, and I can recognize that. And I can appreciate that. I mean, I think, I took my bike to Union Station this morning, and there were fucking Humvees, with gun turrets all around the front, and just what a crazy fucking time, man. I hope everybody sees something, dude. Like when Trump is in office, just look at how much fucking acrimony this guy brings everywhere he goes, dude. It's just fucking acrimony and people at each other's throats and disorder and chaos. He's fucking attracted to it. Remember all the protests when he was trying to go in his first term behind the White House when he was crossing to the church? I mean, it's just constant with this fucking guy. But even that, putting that aside, guys, let me just level with you for some. And I'm okay. I fucking love doing this live chat. Whether one of you watched or a million of you watched, I fucking love doing it. And I love each and every one of you that are here. And I mean that with total sincerity, dude. I literally am prioritizing you guys today over time with my family, which I don't normally do and I don't normally recommend. And I would not recommend as a normal course of doing it. But hello, like it's a fight week. It's important to have this at the time that we normally have this. And I hope you can appreciate that. So what I'm about to tell you is coming from the bottom of my fucking heart. And you don't have to like it or agree with everything, but please understand that I'm telling it to you in good faith. Okay? I am telling you that. If you can understand something about this the debate in DC, there's 2 things I need you to understand. All right? First, I am absolutely willing to believe that the level of crime in DC today reaches a level that is very unacceptable to a great many people. And I can firmly and absolutely attest that there are very individual and like particular parts about DC crime that you should know are real, and in particular the youth part of it, which is relevant because remember, Big Ball's got his ass kicked by a bunch of teens. Unruly groups of teens might be one of DC's biggest crime problems. There's simply no denying it. I'm okay with acknowledging it. I'm okay with acknowledging it, and I'm okay that's not the sum total of crime, but that the sum total of crime might be, reaches a level that's simply unacceptable to people. And not everyone's going to have the same sense about what is acceptable. But what you also have to understand is there are many, 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 many of us that look at the scenario of crime that we have, and you have to make this wherever you live, Knoxville, Tennessee, Little Rock, Arkansas, New York City, everywhere. And you have to ask yourself, is this place livable according to my interest? I'm not going to get everything I want, but is it livable? And there are an enormous amount of people for which DC is not just very livable. It is our home and we love it. We love the city that we have. We can recognize absolutely that, again, as it pertains to truancy and youth crime, but not, again, that's not the sum total of it, but that these are things that, that can be better, should be better, and the way that they are unacceptable to a great many people. But that's not even just the whole story. It's not just that there are people here that love it. There are people dying to get here. DC can't build housing capacity fast enough because part of the story is what DC became. Guys, please understand this. If you are an American, if you're not American, I don't expect you to care. But if you are an American, you have to know that the story of DC, it is a fucking success story. Count the dub. If you're an American, take pride in that. Because when my family eventually, there was a brief moment they tried out the suburbs because they just couldn't take DC anymore. Eventually, they went back later on. But a brief moment in time, they tried the suburbs. Dude, we like my family didn't always love the city, man. My dad tried to raise 3 kids in the 1980s in fucking DC. It was tough. It was tough. It was no guarantee that it was going to rescue itself. And again, it's not just that there was crime. It was the city was poorly maintained. Government services didn't work. The police were under fucking siege. Like it was headed to a bad place. And slowly over time, with better city managers, better decisions, better policies, better crime intervention, slowly over time, it began to attract more investment. It began to attract more people who wanted to call this place home. It began to attract a bigger DMV area, people who couldn't live in DC but now wanted to live close to it in Maryland, Virginia. City services today are the best I've ever seen them. Like if you want to get your license renewed for something or to get stuff done for, permits for your housing, this stuff happens in the DMV. Oh my God. The DMV in Marion Barry's era was a nightmare. And now it's, I wouldn't call the DMV great, but in general, pretty fucking smooth. And again, relative to the crime, it's the violent crime 30-year low, and the city, the beautification that's gonna, dude, this is an American success story. There are many cities that were better than DC in the 80s that are now shells of themselves. These cities have to have people who invest in them, both on the government leadership side as well as the business community, and they have to work together, and they have to be smart and plan and have a vision for a place and care about it and execute on it. And that doesn't always happen. In fact, and a lot of times it goes the other direction. Dude, DC rescued itself. You have DC public schools. When I went to Northern Virginia briefly during that quick hiatus my family took, the kids at the elementary school that I went to in Virginia were amazed at the amount of swears that I knew. I introduced all of those kids in that elementary school to the concept of suck my dick because I learned it in first fucking grade in DC. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. And now that same school that was Watkins Elementary, or Peabody Elementary, and then Watkins Elementary, you look at these two schools now, and they're rated nationally as some of the higher performing schools in the entire fucking country. This is not a thing that is inevitable. This is not a thing that happens to every place and city. DC fixed itself. Not fully. No place has. And if it's not fixed enough, then let's go all the way. I'm okay with that. But that's what you need to understand. This is an American success story where 700,000 of us are very happy to be here. Many millions more want to be. They can't build enough housing supply in order to meet demand. And more to that point, look at what you're seeing people do who live here to the ATF or the FBI or these Border Patrol people who are here. Do they look fucking happy to you? They're throwing Subway sandwiches and they're cursing them out at Union Station and they're yelling at them on 14th Street. Dude, we don't want them. We don't want them. We don't need them. It's not making anything fucking better. Because this is point number 2. You could Is DC safe is a question that like you're going to have a different answer to than me. To me, could it be safer? Yes. And the individual things, not just the youth in particular, the youth situation, fixing the DC crime lab is like really, really fucking important that they get that right. There's a lot of specific things that we can point to. The GOP Congress putting a $1.1 billion budget hole in a city that runs a balanced budget because they want to play fuck games with us can't really help because we actually had to cut police services as a consequence to do that. I just want to point that out. But I can't decide for you whether you like there's some people who are not equipped to handle the messiness of civilization. They can see a homeless person, and yes, there should be no homeless, but to the extent that they are, like, what reaction does that give you? If you can look at the total package of what city living offers and DC's crime rate is unacceptable to you, I can understand that. I don't agree, but I can understand that we might have a different perspective. But what you must understand is there is no crime emergency, right? You might say, does crime need to come down in DC? Yeah, it's too high. Sure. Sure. Let's just posit that I agree. There's a crime emergency where we have to put gun turrets on at Humvees at Union Station. What the fuck that's just so obviously not. Guys, I saw, who's this guy? Tim Burchett, who was a congressman out of Tennessee, talking about I have to live in my office. Dog, my daughter plays outside. She's 6. We walk her to kindergarten. What the fuck are you talking about? You can make an argument about, I don't agree that the crime is acceptably under control in DC. That's fine. That is not tantamount to an emergency. Because an emergency is one where you got to send in the fucking military because the streets are in chaos. Like, one of the scenes from Predator 2 in Los Angeles where they're trying to kill the Colombian drug lords at the beginning. Like that's not what's happening. It's an ordinary fucking city. By and large, 99% of the time, it's just ordinary city living. So, we're all debating the wrong things. Is there enough crime such that they need to send in this insane waste of taxpayer money? Dude, did you see him fucking patrolling Georgetown? What the fuck are you going to catch in fucking Georgetown? I mean, the crime is the fucking pricing of, rag and bone shirts. Like, it's so fucking stupid. Last point, if I may. There are elements of the right in this country that simply do not believe in the left's right to have power. They just don't believe that the left should have power. This is why Trump is threatening LA, a city that does not like him and did not vote for him. It's why he's threatening his own backyard, because he doesn't know anything about us. But other than we didn't vote for him in large part, I mean, 90% plus did not vote for him. And so he resents us and he doesn't like us and doesn't believe that we should have political power, right? I mean, this concept of DC statehood, that is ludicrous. Why is that ludicrous? Why is it just normal for people to be politically disenfranchised and live in the capital of the country? That actually makes no sense itself, but it keeps going from there. It's why are the Texas Republicans pushing gerrymandering so hard? Why did the North Carolina legislature undermine the office of the governor before the Democrat took office so that he could be limited and hampered in what he does? They just don't believe that the left is allowed to have power in this country. And again, it's not all of them, but there are key elements, including all the way to the top of the existing federal government, that believe this. This is all part of it. It's just fucking pretext. It's just pretext. There is no crime emergency. There's no crime emergency. It's simply not real. And they're making up this hysteria on the emergency side. Again, because is there an unacceptable level of crime? Sure. All crime is unacceptable, but a certain visible presence of it that is, unacceptable for civilized living. Sure. That's not the same as an emergency. And they're ginning this up as a pretext to just hammer us down because we didn't vote for him. They don't believe in our political power. They don't believe in our in DC as a community. Like they don't know any dude. I've said this before, dude. Trump doesn't know fucking anything about DC. I thought it was impressive how little Dan Snyder was ever seen around town. Because like when Obama was president, trust me, he was out around town. Like he was visiting places. Like he was connecting with the community. And I don't like Obama, but like that's just a fact. He did that shit. And you know, Trump is like in a gilded cage over there in 1600 Pennsylvania. He never goes out in town. He might know more about McLean than he might know about DC. So just understand the game that's being played here. You know, you can have a very forthright conversation about there just not being enough done to control for crime in Washington D.C., even if it is, 30-year historic low for violent crime. It's still not enough. Great progress, not enough. Fine, that's not an emergency. Because if it's not an emergency here, then what about places like Tulsa? What about places like Memphis, which has vastly worse crime? Why is there no call for sending in the National Guard into Memphis, which has in every possible way much worse crime? It's not an emergency. It's a fucking political power grab. And I hope you can understand that. Oh, look, there's too much crime in DC. Yeah, there might be. There might be. But that's not the same as we got to send in the troops with gun turrets because it's an emergency. That's just fiction. And anybody who tells you anything else is just lying to you. I'm telling you it. I'm telling you this as a fucking resident who actually loves this place. All right. This is one of the issues I hate. You listen to the left and there is no crime. You listen to people that lean right and they are happy to see DC get help. I love the way you frame this. You listen to the left and there's no crime. Guys, I'm not saying that there's no crime. I'm saying that the level of crime is historically not high. It's not. Historically, it's not high. That doesn't mean it's at a level that's comfortable for everybody, and I can respect that. Or that it cannot be meaningfully improved and should not be meaningfully improved. Absolutely, it should be improved. And very specific initiatives, I'm totally on board with. I'm totally okay with people saying we need to do more to get this right. Okay, that's fine. What I'm telling you is it's not an emergency. That's what I'm telling you. It's not an emergency. That's the biggest difference. And you're saying, and I love how you frame this, and the right are happy to see DC get help. Dude, they don't give a fuck. Do you not hear the people who live here? Find any piece of content from someone who lives here in rich neighborhoods and in poor ones, from the Northeast to the Southwest. Find somebody who from DC is like, I'm so fucking glad they're here. You'll probably get a couple of crazies. 99% of them are going to say, we don't want them here. It's not what people here want. And again, they just want to treat the city as a punching bag. Do you think that they really care about this place when they have gleefully, to the point that President Trump asked them to stop doing it? But the GOP Congress took out $1.1 billion funding. This went against schools, firefighters, and fucking police, and trash, water, sanitation. It affected everything. For a city that ran a balanced budget, it was just vindictive. And then they want to talk to me about crime. It's like, dude, these people don't have any connection to the neighborhoods. They don't know anything about Brookland. They don't know anything about Glover Park. They don't know anything about any of these fucking places. They have no connection to them. And the people who live there, I know these motherfuckers. And if you don't believe my testimonial, listen to them. We're not asking for this. So this means, the right just wants to give them help. Why won't they just take the help? This is not helpful. Who the fuck said that? There are ways you could be helpful to combat crime. And if we would like to talk about that, then let's talk about that. But a lot of that gets down to nitty-gritty, very specific policy details. And that's not what this is about. This is just about beating up on political adversaries. And I really, really, really hope you can see that. I'm telling you the fucking truth. I am telling you the truth. The crime is too high for a lot of people. Fine. But there are a fuck ton of us who love this place. And we can happy to see it improve. Happy to. Murder's too high. Great. Let's bring that shit down. Carjacking's too high. Great. Let's bring that shit down. All of it. Let's bring it all down. Let's take those steps. Let's fix the DC crime lab. Let's really get some better youth intervention going. Great. Let's do it. Let's do that shit. But that's not the same as bringing in the fucking National Guard, walking Georgetown, M Street. What the fuck? Dude, they're pissing in your face with the waste of money. They're landing helicopters at the National Mall. Do you know what percentage of crime happens in the National Mall in DC annually, year over year? 0%. And they're landing fucking helicopters. Dude, who's paying for this shit? You. This is not fixing anything. Yes, they'll put a band-aid on it for as long as, they're running a fucking police state, but the minute they're gone, if they're not doing the things that actually get to the root of the crime and the things that DC really, really needs, then what the fuck is this? Now, I've seen Janine Pirro offer some changes to DC laws to help her better in her mind, better combat crime. At least you can disagree or not with the initiatives. At least she is offering, like, here are my ideas, rather than just being, oh my God, it's a hellhole. It's like, I can't leave my office. Buddy, my daughter, I take her scootering outside the Capitol all the time. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's just nonsensical. I hope that the testimonial of 700,000 people telling you they don't even have enough housing for us. That's how many people are trying to pack in here. We're cool with at least living in the city. If we want to talk about getting better crime or crime intervention, I should say, great, let's do it. Let's do it. But there's no emergency. There just isn't. I'm sorry.